Betrayal doesn't always come with sharp edges or raised voices. Sometimes it slips in quietly, through silence. Through celebrations you never knew had already passed you by. I was in the kitchen, slicing lemons for a marinade when my aunt mentioned it as if she were talking about the weather. "Sweetheart, the wedding was last week." I froze. My head snapped up. "What?" She blinked at me with something like pity softening her eyes. "You didn't know?" The knife hung suspended in my hand. My sister's wedding, already over. No invitation, no phone call, no text, not even a hint. I placed the knife down carefully. My sister and I had once been inseparable, not just siblings, but allies. She would call me at midnight to vent about our parents, and I'd cover when she slipped out past curfew. She had been the one to sit with me by the lake, pouring whiskey over my heartbreak and feeding the fire with old memories. When she met Claire, I was the first to hear about her. She introduced Claire as someone serious, someone who mattered. When Claire hugged me, it felt like we were already family. I welcomed her with open arms. I didn't realize then that the warmth in her smile hid a quiet weapon. The signs came gradually. Calls that ended quicker, then stopped altogether. Family dinners where they were always too busy. Claire's responses faded into silence, not even a token emoji anymore. But it was the Instagram slip-up that cut deepest. A story posted, then deleted. A champagne toast caught in motion, a flash of white fabric, my sister standing beside Claire. The caption read, "The best day of our lives, Orel." The date? A week earlier, 7 days. I didn't scream. I didn't call. I knew better. Emotion is a snare. I'd watched too many people step into it. Instead, I stared at the phone, let the silence choke the air around me, and began making a list. Cut them off quietly. Gather leverage. Wait for the request, smile, say no. I didn't wait long. 33 days later, Claire's name lit up my phone. "Hey, hope you're well. We were thinking of spending a weekend at the lake house before the baby comes. Just the two of us. Would that be okay?" And there it was, the reason for their rush. The lake house wasn't ours. It wasn't family property. It belonged to me alone, left in my name by our grandfather. It was my refuge, my retreat, my escape. They knew what it meant, and still thought I would agree. But I wasn't the same girl who once cried over being left out of a wedding. I was someone who had learned to rewrite the guest list entirely. Step 1. Reshape the story. I invited my aunt and cousins for a weekend at the lake house. Laughter on the dock, wine by the fire, pictures snapped against the water. I shared one photo online, just enough to be seen. Step 2. Legal clarity. I had a lawyer draft a formal no trespassing notice. It was polite but firm, emailed to Claire with my sister copied. Step 3. Cut with precision. I finally responded to Claire. "Hi Claire, hope you're doing well. The house isn't available. Congratulations on everything though, no explanations. Just a clean line of distance." Later I heard through my aunt that Claire cried. My sister raged, and they both called me selfish. Good. The confrontation arrived soon after, on my doorstep, without warning. I had been expecting it. I opened the door slowly, coffee mug warm in my hand. My calm, steady as a frozen lake. "You weren't invited to the wedding because we didn't think you'd come," Claire blurted. Defensive, one hand resting protectively on her stomach. My sister stood beside her, jaw locked, her silence saying more than Claire's words ever could. "You didn't think I'd come?" I repeated evenly. "So you didn't even bother asking?" Claire hesitated. "It was last minute, small, just family." "I am family," I answered coldly. "Don't rewrite that." My sister finally spoke, her tone sharp. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "No," I cut her off. "You already did. You chose your side. Now I've chosen mine." Claire's lips opened, then shut again. "You're really not going to let us use the house?" I took a slow sip of coffee. "You didn't think I'd come to the wedding." "Why would you think I'd open my home?" Her eyes searched mine, as if trying to recognize the person she thought I used to be. That version of me, the loyal, forgiving, naive one, was gone. She had disappeared the day my aunt broke the news they never had the courage to share themselves. They left without another word. I stood on the porch, the wind threading through the trees like quiet applause. That night I walked down to the water. The lake was still, reflecting back my own face. I didn't crave loud revenge. What I wanted was silence. The kind that lasts, the kind that cuts deeper than shouting ever could. They had held a wedding without me. I would give them a lifetime without access, Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just a locked door and the echo of your name never spoken again when it truly matters.